Shakyamuni Buddha. Dear venerable monks, nuns, and fellow Buddhists. Today marks the second time we have the opportunity to return to the Dong Dac Ancestral Pagoda to exchange teachings with you. The topic we will discuss today is fair cause and effect, karma. As we know, the law of cause and effect is the most fundamental teaching of Buddhism. The entire Buddhist doctrine, from low to high, from the path of being a human to the path of becoming a saint, is based on the foundation of the law of cause and effect. This law is not an invention of the Buddha but a natural principle of the universe. The Buddha was the one who discovered and had the most thorough understanding of it among all saints of all times. All of the Buddha's vast, wonderful, and profound teachings rest upon the foundation of the law of cause and effect, karma. If we do not firmly grasp the law of cause and effect, we will surely misunderstand Buddhism, easily fall into superstition, and be unable to apply its beautiful principles to our lives. Therefore, anyone who comes to Buddhism, whether to understand, to explore, or with the determination to practice, must first correctly understand the law of cause and effect. Thus, today we discuss this to see that the law of cause and effect is a strange and absolute fairness of the universe. In this universe, in this life, in this world, in each of our human lives, nothing appears randomly. Everything has a cause, and the things we do today will also generate a result later, whether in this life or another. For example, our presence here today at this ancestral place to attend the commemoration ceremony for the founding patriarch of Dong Dac Pagoda has causes from previous lives. It's not coincidental. It's not random that we are sitting here today. Perhaps 3 lifetimes ago we contributed to building this pagoda. Perhaps 5 lifetimes ago we were ordained here. Or perhaps 7 lifetimes ago, we were an official governing this region and came here to support this pagoda. It's never random. Or perhaps, in the humblest scenario, in a past life we were a dog guarding this temple, creating merit, and today we are reborn as humans returning to visit. We never know. So, our presence here today has roots in the past. It's not random. And the act of sitting here today is also a cause for the future. That future cause will lead to something suitable. For instance, if today we come here with a heart full of respect and admiration for the ancestral temple, the Dharma, teachings, and the Sangha, community of monks and nuns, it creates merit. This merit can yield many different results. Just like planting a seed, it doesn't just produce one fruit. For example, if we plant a mango seed, don't think it just grows into one mango fruit and that's it. No. Before a mango fruit appears, what grows? A mango tree, mango leaves, branches, mango flowers, and then the mango fruit. And that's not all. A young mango is different from a ripe one, and inside the fruit is the seed. So, many things arise from one initial seed. When the tree grows, it's not just, oh, I planted a mango seed, I'll get to eat mango fruit. It's not that simple. I plant a mango seed, but what do I get? I get a whole mango tree that provides shade. I enjoy the shade first, right? Enjoy the shade, the branches. Maybe when the tree is large, it can be cut for firewood. Mango leaves fall, and maybe I collect them for cooking fuel or to compost the soil. Mango flowers might be admired, maybe even inspire a poem. The sour fruit can be dipped in soy sauce or fish sauce. The ripe fruit is eaten. And the mango seed? Maybe we plant it again. So, we see that from just one mango seed being nurtured, we enjoy many benefits from planting it, not just one mango fruit. Similarly, sitting here today listening to the Dharma doesn't just yield one specific future blessing, but many blessings will occur. For example, the simplest thing, when we come to the temple, learn the way, our souls become noble and holy, our character becomes complete. Our words gain authority, causing children and grandchildren at home to suddenly respect and imitate us, becoming well-behaved. The merit we gain in the next life is unknown. But today, suddenly our descendants are well-behaved, and we gain that joy immediately. It's like planting a mango tree. Maybe there's no fruit yet, but we get to sit under its shade on a hot summer day first. Likewise, perhaps we haven't achieved wealth or glory yet, but having well-behaved descendants is already a joy. For example, our relatives or neighbors, seeing our character grow through attending the temple, suddenly trust and cherish us. Then, when we call for a meritorious act, for instance, if someone poor and lonely in our village needs help and we lack the strength alone, we call a few others, saying, "That old man is poor, his children are far away, he's sick. Let's take turns helping him in his final days." Caring for the elderly and weak is a noble principle of humanity. Let's take turns visiting him. Perhaps before, if we said this, no one would respond. But now, having gone to the temple, having developed character and moral authority, when we make such a call, many people agree and join in doing a good deed right away, helping a lonely old person. When that person passes away, they die in joy, in happiness. We see neighbors becoming closer, trusting each other more than before. More than before. For example, when we leave home, we used to worry who might break in. But since we started calling neighbors to do good deeds together, when we go away, we can ask a neighbor, "Please keep an eye on my house. I have some business." We trust them, and our house is safe because 3 or 4 neighboring houses watch over it for us. We see the mango fruit isn't enjoyed yet, but we've enjoyed the mango shade, the fallen mango leaves. So, we see that our sitting here today going to the temple has past causes but also generates many future results, not just simple ones. And cause and effect is always a fairness that governs the entirety of human life. We see the law of fair cause and effect in Buddhism permeates everything from the way of being human to the way of becoming a saint. For example, now we are human beings, not yet saints, but we are still governed by the law of cause and effect. If we want our character to improve, there's a way to sow the seeds. Or if we want our lives to be more glorious, wealthier, there's a way to sow the seeds. If we want more power, influence, or a more beautiful appearance, there's also a way to sow the seeds. Sowing according to morality and ethics, not through tricks. That's the way of being human. Or, for someone who wants to practice for liberation, to attain the status of a saint like the venerable monks and nuns, there are also causes and effects. We have legitimate methods to sow the causes and achieve the fruit of sainthood, although it may take a long time. Or, when one has attained sainthood and wants to guide sentient beings, it's not as simple as just speaking and people will listen. For example, a person who has attained the way, possesses psychic powers, knows the past and future, can perhaps heal a serious illness with a wave of their hand. But don't think that whatever they say, people will listen. Without affinity, others won't listen. Therefore, even a saint who wants to teach sentient beings must have the right cause and effect, the appropriate affinity, to be able to speak effectively. Thus, we see, from ordinary people like us to lofty saints, to bodhisattvas teaching millions of beings, all are silently governed by the law of cause and effect. It's not simple. There are causes and effects. Therefore, in Buddhism, precisely because we know the law of cause and effect, we strive continuously throughout our lives. Only those who don't know the law of cause and effect are either lazy and unwilling to strive, or superstitious, doing wrong things yet wishing for noble, good results. It doesn't work that way. Because we know the law of cause and effect, we are diligent, not superstitious, and create legitimate causes for our lives to progress and to help those around us progress. For example, a poorly performing student, don't think they will remain poor performing forever. No. If they know how to sow the seeds within just 1 or 2 years, that student will improve significantly, right before our eyes. This is very effective. And a good student can sow seeds to become an exceptionally outstanding student. It's not that there's no path. And it's not just by burying one's head in books and studying hard. No. We have the causes of ethics, of morality, and then everything changes strangely, unexpectedly, and beautifully. So, we must understand the law of cause and effect like that. And today we discuss that. In the law of cause and effect, the premise is this: every thought, every word, and every action we take creates a result back for ourselves. Meaning the owner of the thought, the owner of the word, the owner of the action receives a corresponding result. However, we should note one more thing. Within our thoughts, words, and actions, there are 2 types, one type that does not affect others and one type that does affect others. Let's reiterate. The karmic cause has 3 forms. 1. thoughts in our mind. 2. Words we speak. 3. Actions we perform. Within these 3 karmic causes, we divide them into 2 types. One that doesn't impact others, and one that does impact others. These produce different results. For example, suppose we go into an empty field, stand there, and shout, "I am the king! I am the king!" This is verbal karma. Does it affect anyone? Is it related to anyone? No, not related to anyone at all. Standing in the middle of an empty field saying, "I am the king," because if someone else heard, what would happen? They'd report you to the police immediately, right? The police would invite you for an interview, either charge you or take you to a psychiatric hospital. But because we're afraid, we go to a deserted field and shout, "I am the king! I am the king!" We don't know what we're thinking, just shouting. That's verbal karma, and this verbal karma doesn't affect anyone else. So, is there any cause and effect? Because it doesn't affect anyone, the cause and effect are very weak. But there is still an effect. What effect? The effect of arrogance, illusion, ambition. Meaning, we are ordinary people, nothing special, but dream all day of being a leader. Since no one recognizes us as a leader, we go out to the field and shout like that to satisfy our ambition, our illusion. That cause is the cause of arrogance, wanting to be superior to others. And there's a corresponding retribution. After shouting like that in the field, we stop, return to normal, hiding it from everyone. But suddenly, our life isn't normal like the days before. Before people met us, they were happy, normal. But after we stood shouting in the field, "I am the king," when we return, people meet us and suddenly, they despise us immediately. They meet us, bow their head curtly. Where have you been? Not working at home. Or someone kicks us in the butt. Someone scolds us. Always so insolent. Meaning, they didn't hear us shouting in the field, but suddenly our merit is lost. Suddenly, even though no one knew about that arrogant act, our merit is still damaged. When people meet us, they don't love us like the day before. They look down on us immediately. Strange, isn't it? That's the cause that doesn't affect others. As for the cause that does affect others, it lasts for a very long time. For example, suppose in our village we are well off. Next door lives a poor person, and we look down on them, despise them. "Hey, that kid is dirty and smelly. Don't play with them, okay? I forbid you from now on. Dirty and smelly. Don't play." We rely on our wealth, have a contemptuous attitude, speak contemptuous words that others can hear. Meaning, our contemptuous words, impact another person's heart, making them feel self-pity. When we truly make someone feel self-pity, ashamed, humiliated, the retribution is terrifying, not simple like shouting in the field earlier when no one knew. When we genuinely cause someone self-pity, shame, humiliation, the retribution is dreadful. Maybe our merit is still there, so we enjoy it for another 10, 20 years until we get old, our fortune collapses, we become old and poor immediately. Poor and looked down upon by everyone in return. And if that contempt was severe, it affects our descendants too. They can't succeed in business, can't lift their heads up. Our descendants fail wherever they work. It ruins several generations of descendants, not just a little. So, the karma of looking down on others. See, cause and effect isn't simple. Or when we mistreat others, cause them suffering. The suffering that returns to us is lingering and unpleasant for many years, not simple. For example, say I'm an official, a cadre with some power. One day, a poor person without a proper house comes to ask me, "Sir, the village is poor. I want to ask, you have position and power. Could you grant me a house of compassion? A house built through community charity, just a roof to shelter under." At that moment, perhaps because I was angry at someone else or too busy, I snap at them, "I have so much work to do. Why should I worry about you? Go away." I say one sentence and dismiss it, not helping them. They leave feeling humiliated and continue to endure their leaky, dilapidated house. The karma returns to me very tragically, meaning not just in this life, but in future lives. I keep being the person asking for things and no one gives, wanting help but getting none, and my housing situation is precarious. The karmic consequence stretches very long. Anything that affects others, the retribution returning to us is 100 times what we sowed. We might just slap someone once, but if that slap was in front of many people, later we might be tormented for a whole year, abused, humiliated for a year to compensate for just one slap. So we see it's like sowing one mango seed, but it yields thousands of fruits over many years, many seasons. We see the effect is always many times greater than the cause. If we cause someone suffering, the suffering that returns to us is very persistent. Conversely, the same applies. When we help someone find joy, the joy that returns to us lasts for a very long time. For example, one time driving on the road, I see someone writhing on the ground. The road is deserted. Although I'm in a hurry, my heart is moved. I stop the car, approach and ask. They say they suddenly had a stomachache, writhing in pain in the deserted field. No one to call, no help. I worry it might be appendicitis. Quickly, I lift them into the car and drive them to the hospital. Implied, because I promptly lifted them into the car, they got timely surgery and survived. Just that simple act. Yet my health improves, my lifespan increases. Later, if my descendants have an accident, someone rescues them. The retribution returns to us very long-lastingly and abundantly from just helping someone that one time. We see it's always like that. One grain of rice sown yields a whole cluster of rice. One mango seed planted. After 5 to 10 years, thousands, tens of thousands of mangoes are harvested endlessly. That's fair cause and effect. Therefore, we must understand the law of cause and effect deeply to control our every action, thought, and word throughout our lives. The best consequence for someone who believes in and understands cause and effect is that we can restrain ourselves. We avoid evil deeds and diligently perform good deeds. That's the foremost result, the foremost benefit. We don't yet know how we will enjoy countless blessings later, but immediately, we become an upright, worthy person because we know how to restrain ourselves. And we understand that whoever knows restraint is a good person. If we want to be good people, first we must know restraint. The person who doesn't know self-restraint, who does whatever they want immediately, that person is not good, not virtuous. A virtuous person is assessed first by their ability to restrain themselves. Before acting, think 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. Should I do this or not? Even if I really like it, don't do it if it's wrong. Knowing restraint is the initial sign of morality. And it is the law of cause and effect that makes us know restraint because we have wisdom, knowing cause and effect. We may like something, but we always consider, deduce where this retribution will lead, then act. Not just doing whatever we want immediately. That is the beautiful consequence for someone who believes in and understands cause and effect. And if an entire society has many people believing in and understanding cause and effect, then surely that society will be very good, very prosperous, because no one would bear to cause suffering to another, and everyone would want to help others be peaceful and happy. We don't know where heaven is far away. We know for sure that heaven exists only where people believe in and understand cause and effect, know how to live well with each other, kindly with each other. That is heaven. Within the law of cause and effect, there is a prominent characteristic, fairness. Cause and effect means fairness. The wonderful beauty of cause and effect is precisely its fairness. Some people, upon first hearing about the law of cause and effect, remain cautious, saying, "Teacher says whatever cause, that effect." But how can it be proven? Science doesn't know, cannot see it. So how to prove that truly, those who do good meet good, and those who do evil meet evil? Because in our lives, we see many people who are still rich, and some virtuous people who are still poor. Although we believe the Buddha's words that doing good surely brings good fortune, doing evil surely brings misfortune, we remain cautious, skeptical, but really want to believe. Really want to believe, why? Because we see that the law of cause and effect is fair, so we love it. Here we see this. Humans lack sufficient wisdom to see cause and effect operating fairly. Not enough wisdom to see because only saints can see. ordinary people like us don't have the capacity. But we believe accept. Why accept when we don't have the capacity to prove it? Say, because cause and effect is fair, and we love the fairness of cause and effect, therefore we accept the law of cause and effect. Even though we don't have the capacity to know if the principle is real or not, but because cause and effect is fair, and we are people who love fairness, we accept it. And we will live according to the law of cause and effect and teach our children and grandchildren to believe and live by the law of cause and effect. We see, is that person virtuous? Certainly, that is a virtuous person because only virtuous people love fairness. And when they love fairness, they accept the law of cause and effect. Conversely, the person who says, I don't believe in the law of cause and effect, I don't accept it because science hasn't proven it. This person cites a simple reason. Because science hasn't proven it, they don't accept it. We immediately understand this person is immoral. Why? Because this person lacks one thing. They don't cherish fairness. Right, fellow Buddhists? Do Buddhists agree? Right? Clearly, they latch onto the reason that science hasn't proven it to not accept the law of cause and effect. We understand immediately the dark heart of this person. They do not cherish fairness. And if they don't cherish fairness, this person is not virtuous. Because only virtuous people love fairness. And if they don't cherish fairness, they are immoral. And if they are immoral, surely this person will do wrong. Guaranteed they will eventually do wrong. When a person is immoral, they will certainly do wrong. For example, if that person holds a high position of power, guaranteed they will eventually abuse their power to oppress others and gain benefits for themselves. Or, if that person has no power, is an ordinary person, their mind is always thinking about how to make money from others' pockets become money in their own pocket. Because the law of economics is like that. It's funny, in economics, there's a very simple definition of how to make money. Make the money in other people's pockets become money in your pocket. Extremely simple. And this is reality. Who doesn't acknowledge it? Making money means getting money from others' pockets into yours. Simple yet not simple. Why? Because money is like intestines. Money in someone's pocket is their blood and bone, their heart, their flesh and bone, their skin and flesh, their guts inside. It's not like you can just reach in, take it, put it in your pocket and be done, right? The easiest way to make money from someone's pocket into yours is robbery. Hold a knife to their throat, take their money, put it in your pocket, done deal. But normally, to make money from someone's pocket flow into yours, what must you do? You have to do something that makes them happy, or you must provide something they want to buy. For example, they want to buy rice, you have rice. They want to buy gold, you have gold. They want to buy a car, you have a car to sell. Only then will their money flow into your pocket. You also have to provide some labor, some service, some other asset. It's not just about getting money, meaning simply transferring money from their pocket to yours. And many people, because they don't cherish fairness, just want to make money, to get money from others' pockets into theirs simply. So they resort to all kinds of fraud, robbery. That's called being immoral and doing wrong. And people who do wrong like that, first, the law deals with them. If the law doesn't fully deal with it, the law of cause and effect continues to deal with it. And the law of cause and effect deals with it thoroughly, fiercely. Fiercely. Why? Because the law of cause and effect is very fair. There are things that societal laws don't fully address, but the law of cause and effect pulls them out and deals with them. Not a single iota is missed. Very scary. And we also understand this. Why did humans establish laws? Why did humans set up courts to adjudicate? In ancient times, there were no laws, no courts. But gradually humans established laws, established courts. Why? Simply because humans are a type of animal that loves fairness. And we are human because we cherish fairness. If we humans didn't cherish fairness, we'd be exactly like other beasts in the jungle. Other beasts in the jungle have no fairness. Might makes right. Meaning, when a tiger tears apart its prey, it doesn't contemplate in its head. It just knows it's strong. Humans are different because humans have laws, courts. When one person assaults another, immediately the law and courts adjudicate. Why? It doesn't matter who, because humans are equal before the law. Therefore, we understand that the reason we are truly human, upright, valuable, far surpassing animals, is because we know how to establish courts, establish laws. And why? Because we cherish fairness. And we understand this further. In ancient times, laws were very simple, but as time goes on, laws become more sophisticated. Why? Because as civilization and wisdom advance, people become even fairer. Even fairer. How fair? We'll see. Consider how legal systems have evolved. In the past, laws could be terrifyingly simple. For instance, a principle like murder requires paying with one's life might have been applied rigidly. Once a criminal was identified, execution might follow without deep consideration of mitigating circumstances. Wisdom and civilization were different then compared to today. Nowadays, if someone commits murder, they are brought to trial and the motive, circumstances, and details are considered. It's not like everyone who kills is automatically executed. No, it's different from the old days. So, there are cases, situations like this. In Saigon, there was a story about a boy who killed his stepfather. He was caught immediately because he couldn't run anywhere. He had nowhere to hide. Still being young, a minor killed his stepfather. Later, people who knew the story came forward, met with the police, met with the court, and explained the reason. The stepfather was too cruel. Since moving in with the boy's mother, he had brutally abused her, abused all the siblings terribly. Didn't let them do anything, study anything. Making money. Who pays for your studies? You brat, stay home. I make money, who else supports you, huh? Argue with me? Drop out of school tomorrow and sell lottery tickets. You hate me, huh? Wait till you're capable. Then talk to me. The pressure built up until he was strong enough to hold a knife, and he dealt with him. First, it's the crime of murder. But when the court tried the case, first, he was a minor. Second, he acted out of desperation, and the fault largely lay with the victim, who had inflicted suffering on the family for 10 years. To serve as a deterrent, the court sentenced him to prison, but suspended the sentence. We see it's different from the old days. Therefore, we see that as humans become more civilized, more intelligent, they cherish fairness more. And the law of cause and effect is that fairness. The law of cause and effect is precisely that fairness. Therefore, we see that civilized people, intelligent people, naturally find it easy to accept, easy to cherish Buddhism. Because the civilization and wisdom of humans cherishing fairness, and the fairness within the law of cause and effect of Buddhism, are completely compatible. Completely compatible. This is something we can be proud of, take pride in, when we kneel before the Buddha altar paying homage to the Buddha. We know this is a saint who brought the principle of fairness to life. And thanks to that, countless people in the world have restrained themselves, not allowing themselves to do wrong, only encouraging, only allowing themselves to do beneficial things, meritorious deeds for this life. We pay homage to him with all our hearts, without any hesitation. So worthy. For example, in this case we see fairness like this. There's a robber. After investigating a family, studying their routines, seeing they have hidden gold, he takes advantage of a moment when the house is vulnerable, breaks in, ties up the homeowner, holds a knife to their throat, cuts slice after slice of flesh, drawing blood, to torture them. After the homeowner loses too much blood, suffers unbearable pain, they reveal the location. When they reveal where the gold is buried, he digs it up, finds it's true, then slits the homeowner's throat, finishing them off. He disappears. The law can't find him, he hides well. When suspected, when the police investigation suspects him, he uses some money to immediately stop the investigating officer, bribes them. Thus, the suspicion against him is diverted elsewhere. He gets away with it, and that crime, until the day he died, was never discovered by the law. Worldly law couldn't handle it, meaning the fairness established by humans in the world is insufficient to resolve, to handle all the good and evil in this life. But the law of cause and effect does not forgive. The law of cause and effect does not forgive. That criminal escaped the fairness of the law but could not escape the fairness of the law of cause and effect. So, that criminal started getting sick, suffering pain. Specifically, a cancerous tumor appeared, causing pain exactly in the places where he had cut the victim to torture them for the gold. So, before he cut the thigh, one wound. At that time, the cancer appeared, hurting right there, festering, not healing. Then he cut near the armpit of the other person. Consequently, his arm also became numb in the armpit, unable to move like the tendon was cut. Painful, a lump grew right there. The pain lasted many years. And when sleeping, never peaceful, always having nightmares. Meaning seeing scenes of being chased, killed, burned, stabbed, tragically. Running in the dark, shouting, no one rescues. His wife and children lying beside him would wake him up, covered in sweat, not knowing what happened. Enduring both pain and nightmares, finally, when he died, was the retribution finished? Not yet, not yet. After death, he descended into a realm of suffering, often translated as hell, to be punished further, according to Buddhist cosmology. Because we know in the invisible realm, there is a place the Buddha described as resulting from severe negative karma. That place is for dealing with the consequences of sinful actions that worldly laws overlooked or couldn't handle. When beings arrive there due to their karma, they endure further suffering, experiences like burning, stabbing, slashing, torment. Tragically down there, we might be surprised. Huh? Why? Just killed one person. But the retribution was a lifetime of suffering and pain at the end, and still descending to a suffering realm after death. Why? Because it's like this. We see that one action performed doesn't just affect that one individual. It's not just about that man being cut up and having his throat slit and the story ends. No. When his wife and children returned, they discovered their father, their husband was dead, and all property gone. What happened then? Consider the remaining wife and children. The grief is unimaginable. The pain in the heart because a loved one died that cannot be compensated at any price. Perhaps here we have experienced the pain when a loved one in our family died. Have you? Yes, right? The pain is immense, especially if it was unjust, a tragic death. The pain is unimaginable. So, just the suffering of the wife and children. Who knows how many lifetimes it takes to repay? At the same time, because assets and property were all lost, the children dropped out of school. The children couldn't continue studying, had to do manual labor, and their lives went downhill. The wife, from then on, had to struggle, toil to maintain the family's survival, lasting for many years, then became worn out, sick, and also died early. The children became orphans, adrift. If they managed to maintain morality, it was better. But when left without parents, poor, they grow up and might become robbers themselves. Truly tragic. Meaning, the consequence of killing one person to steal property generates countless bad consequences for this life. Therefore, that robber, killing one person, getting cancer, dying, still hasn't paid it all back. Must experience the results of that karma in a suffering realm. And after finishing that karmic retribution, who knows how many decades, how many centuries, then reincarnates back as a human to continue paying. Still not finished. Continue paying. How? Become someone whose parents die early. Because before, he caused others to lose their parents early. Now he comes back to pay. Parents die early. Then drops out of school, has to struggle, toil, tumble through life again. So we see, for one crime, worldly law handles it simply. Maybe drag the robber out, execute him once, done. Or imprison him for 20 years, done. But the law of cause and effect calculates every little bit. The consequences that brought suffering to this world are settled, dealt with, leaving nothing out. Remember the law of cause and effect. Conversely, for example, in our life, one time we see someone who is decent, not greedy, has qualifications but lacks employment. And we happen to know people. We make an introduction. We say, I know this person, a neighbor, not very close, but I see this young person is good, has qualifications, no job. If they had a job, it would greatly help their family. And I know you need people. So please do me a favor and hire them for me. With just one kind word like that, the person hires that young man. When that young man works, he doesn't just support himself. He supports his family, right? Sometimes, if the job is good, he can support his whole household. Meaning, siblings get educated, parents feel secure. The crucial thing is not worrying every night. That has no price. For example, if someone in the family has no job, eats today's rice but doesn't know if there will be rice for the pot tomorrow. That insecurity constantly haunts, weighs heavily on the soul. That's terrifying. But when people have stable employment, they don't worry about that anymore. Not having to eat today and worry about what to put in the pot tomorrow. Being relieved of that, the happiness, the peace that brings, no amount of money can compensate. That is great. That is priceless. Similarly, the retribution that comes to us is not simple either. Just getting a job for one person doesn't mean tomorrow we win 5 or 10 million in the lottery and it's over. No. The joy, the luck lasts throughout our entire life. And later, our descendants continue to benefit. Our descendants grow up, and naturally, wherever they go, they easily find work. And in our old age, we find peace and happiness seeing our descendants stable and successful. Who would have thought that just thanks to the merit of finding a job for someone else, the consequence stretches so long, so far? So we see the fairness of cause and effect. When judging any karma of a person, it calculates every single tiny detail. Understanding fair cause and effect like this, we learn to fear. We learn to fear, we learn to restrain ourselves in every thought, every word, every deed. If we don't fully understand the law of cause and effect, we live superficially. If we want to make someone suffer, we do it. If we feel like helping someone, we help. It's unstable. If a person is unstable, people interact with them today, see they are good. The next day, see they are erratic. They don't know how to interact. But the person who knows cause and effect always maintains moderation, restraint, stability. Once they are a good person, they remain good. People come to them, form friendships, bonds of kinship, they feel secure for a lifetime. That lifelong security is also happiness, also great merit for us when we make our loved ones around us trust in our character, trust in our soul. Our merit is also very great, not insignificant. We see it like that. Another thing we want to discuss is that the law of cause and effect relates across many lifetimes. Why? Because many karmic results don't have the right conditions to manifest in the immediate life but must extend over many other lifetimes. As we discussed earlier, because we schemed and harmed, causing others to be orphaned, but in this life we are not orphaned. Therefore, in this life we don't repay that karma. It must pass to another life to repay the karma of being orphaned. Only then is it suitable. Or, in this life we often deceived, causing others disappointment. But now we are too successful, no one can deceive us. But in the next life we will be deceived back. Or, in this life we helped countless people regain sight, or provided wheelchairs for the disabled so they could move around. But in this life our legs and arms are not disabled, so who gives us a wheelchair? But in the next life, now I want to ask the Buddhists a little. For example, in this life we see many disabled people unable to walk. We go buy wheelchairs and donate them. What is the cause and effect? Is it that, in the next life, we will naturally become disabled so others can give us wheelchairs again? Is that right? No. Drive a car, very clever. The elder is very clever, demanding a car for giving someone a wheelchair. Demanding a car. But it might actually be true. Might be true. Why? Because it means someone couldn't move, and we help them move easily. That's the essence, not that our legs get broken so someone gives us a wheelchair. It's about someone having difficulty moving, difficulty walking, and we help them walk easily. So, in the next life, this life nothing happens, but in the next life, suddenly our legs are very strong. We receive the blessing of very sturdy legs. Walk easily and easily acquire vehicles. For example, during the time people rode cyclos, we'd have a cyclo. When society moved to cars, we'd have a car. And watch out, when people start flying planes, maybe we'll get a plane too. Therefore, simple causes we might think are trivial, but when the results bloom, they are myriad times more numerous than that. And we see, therefore, the law of cause and effect relates across many lives. Thus, in Buddhism, there's another concept, reincarnation, samsara, the rebirth between this life and the next. When we die in this life, it's not the end of this life. Death means we will be reborn. Therefore, another important law related to the law of cause and effect is reincarnation. Death in this life leads to rebirth into another life. But reincarnation is not simple. It's not like we just die and immediately get reborn into another life. No, we die in this life, our soul, our consciousness will exist in the metaphysical realm for a period. Then, when conditions are sufficient, when there are parents, we are born into that family to be reborn in another life. But if the conditions aren't met, not the right parents, we don't get reborn yet. For example, in a previous life, we created some cause so that in the next life we receive blessings like this. Our parents are rich, the mother is very beautiful, so we inherit the genes and become beautiful. The father is very capable and holds power, and our position is to be born as the eldest child. And within that family, the lineage is large, and our father is the eldest son, etc. Meaning, the cause and effect we created, somehow it dictates this. So, we have to wait for exactly that cause and effect to be met before we are reborn. For example, if the cause and effect haven't arrived yet, we continue to stay in the metaphysical realm, waiting, enjoying blessings there. In that realm, we also have houses, possessions, happiness, but we wait. Rebirth happens only when there's a beautiful, noble mother, a capable father with position, being the eldest child of a large lineage. When those conditions are met, we are reborn. Otherwise, we wait. So we see it's not that we just arrive and get reborn then. Conditions must be right. So it's not always that we are reborn immediately. We must wait for the right parents, the right circumstances. Or, for someone who sowed seeds of transgression. The cause and effect dictate that in the next life, this person, 3 days after birth, red and wrinkled, the father unknown. The mother abandons them at the temple gate for the monk to take in and raise as a monastic. The cause and effect dictated it. So they must wait. Wait for exactly that situation. Wait for the case where a man seduces a girl, then abandons her. The girl becomes pregnant, shamed by the village and parents. And her family doesn't accept her pregnancy, criticizes her harshly. All these conditions force her, the young mother-to-be, to carry her belly and flee home, disappearing somewhere unknown. When she gives birth, perhaps with help from others nearby, she still can't keep the child. Loves the child but can't bring it back home. So 3 days after birth, passing by a temple, she leaves it there. We see, it waits for the exact conditions to manifest before rebirth occurs. During the time we wait, we temporarily reside in the metaphysical realm. Our ancestors called it the soul. Buddhism calls it the consciousness, then tuk. During that time, the soul/consciousness, before rebirth, finds a suitable place to dwell according to its karma. Finds a suitable place of refuge. A consciousness with heavy negative karma undergoes the results of that karma in a suffering realm. Less severe negative karma might lead to becoming a hungry ghost, preta, a being tormented by craving and hunger due to past miserliness or greed, wandering, suffering. This being, after death, may have no one to properly make offerings, lacks a proper place to stay, dwells in desolate fields or bushes. Sometimes, when some drunkard passes by and vomits, they might consume that to get by, having no proper sustenance. No one makes offerings to them. Occasionally, during special ceremonies like Ulambana, a traditional Buddhist time for remembering ancestors and making offerings to relieve suffering, they come to scramble with other hungry ghosts for food. But year-round, the feeling of hunger pervades, even though they exist as a flickering, ephemeral consciousness, yet still tormented by hunger. That's the hungry ghost realm, resulting from less severe negative karma than the hell realms, but still a state of suffering. Usually, beings from that realm, when reborn again, rarely become human immediately. They often become animals. If the consciousness has more merit, it will find a proper place to reside. For example, properly venerated by descendants at home, receiving daily symbolic offerings, or brought to the temple, enshrined in the ancestral hall or ossuary. There, monks offer merits daily through chanting sutras for them to hear. They also learn to practice gain merit, meaning, while waiting for rebirth, they can return to the temple, practice, guard the temple, do service. For example, when alive, they often came to the temple, listened to Dharma, helped sweep, clean, did service daily, weekly, or every half-month on repentance days. Due to that meritorious affinity, when they die, if they haven't met the destined rich parents, because their destiny is wealth, having done much good at the temple while alive, but the conditions aren't met yet, they return to the temple to stay temporarily. At the temple, their memorial tablet rests in the ancestral hall. Just like we see the ancestral hall here. In that space, daily, the venerable monks and nuns dedicate merit through offerings and chanting. They hear the Dharma, guard the temple. So, although unseen, their consciousness still flits around the temple. They might prevent theft, protect the temple, encourage people passing by on the road, influencing their minds to be gentle, not vandalize the temple. The deceased influence the living through the mind. For example, when alive, if kids were playing rough, we'd approach and say, "Children, don't play rough. Keep the temple quiet." Using words. But the deceased consciousness doesn't speak words to children. They influence the mind directly. A child comes to the temple intending to cause trouble. Suddenly a thought appears in their mind. The temple is a serene place. Don't climb. They climb down, don't climb on statues, go back. They think it's their own thought, not realizing it's the influence of the consciousnesses venerated in the temple, those guarding it. They continue doing good like this until the conditions for rich parents arrive, according to their karma. Then they leave the temple, go to that house, and are reborn as a child in that family. Become a child in a rich family. Grow up a little. Run back to the temple again to continue making merit, continue practicing, sowing good karmic seeds again. So there's an intermediate stage where the consciousness stays in the metaphysical realm like that, not necessarily dying and being reborn immediately. As for those who rendered great service to the country, for example, while alive, they were an officer, a general, a leading cadre, wholeheartedly devoted to the people and country, not corrupt, not greedy, always caring for the people. Seeing people suffer, they blamed themselves. Traveling to a certain road section, a certain village, seeing the road difficult, they blamed themselves, reviewed themselves, returned to find ways to mobilize help for the road. Or visiting a village, discovering children struggled immensely to get to school, having to row across a river, and during storms, their lives were uncertain. They rushed back to find ways to build a bridge, not letting children die. A cadre who cares for the people like that, when they die, the karmic rule for the next life, based on such great merit, might be rebirth into an extremely noble and powerful family. Grow up, study brilliantly, then become a leader, maybe even prime minister, who knows. But while waiting before the right parents appear, in the metaphysical realm, their consciousness may reside in a powerful state, akin to a deity or deva in Buddhist terms, in a heavenly realm, meaning residing in celestial palaces, attended by other beings, reflecting the merit and leadership they cultivated. Because while alive, they were a cadre who knew how to care for the people and country, they experienced a temporary heavenly rebirth. In the past, great officials, generals with great merit to the country, were sometimes venerated after death, with temples built for them, reflecting this belief. The generals, the officials with merit to the country who die, don't think it's the end. Their consciousness resides somewhere according to their merit, still experiencing the results of their power and virtue, potentially served by attendants as usual in those realms. Then, when the conditions for human rebirth arrive, it's calculated further. Karma continues to unfold. Those are the ones. As for those who, throughout their lives, practiced diligently, their minds extremely virtuous, holy, and performed countless meritorious deeds for others, those people may be reborn immediately in the higher heavenly realms upon death. That's the realm often called paradise in general terms. In those realms, there is predominantly joy, happiness. In those realms, beings communicate through mind, No need to speak. One person knows the other's thoughts. And all live very truthfully, very happily, very kindly. Whatever they wish for appears instantly due to their accumulated merit. For example, a celestial being likes mountains. A mountain forest scene appears for them to live in. Or they like palaces. Palace appears immediately. They like beautiful clothes. Beautiful clothes appear immediately. Meaning whatever they wish they get. And they live only in love. Everything is loving kindness. So, the person who knows how to practice, whose mind is virtuous, holy, does many good deeds helping the world, may ascend to a heavenly realm upon death. As for the cadre mentioned earlier, sometimes they might be hot-tempered. Even with great merit, if they are still hot-tempered, upon death, they might become a powerful deity, god/deva, not a fully liberated saint. Whereas the person becoming a saint shouldn't be hot-tempered. So, even if you have merit with the country, merit with the people, but are still hot-tempered, you might only attain a heavenly rebirth. Not sainthood, like an arhat. But if you have merit with the country, merit with the people, and your mind is gentle, calm, never snaps at anyone, then upon death, you might become a saint immediately. Karma is like that. When the conditions for human rebirth appear, then rebirth occurs again. Rebirth occurs again. But how does rebirth happen? Let's understand a little. Rebirth is like this. When the parental conditions are about to arrive, the consciousness often returns to that house, clinging near the parents. For example, parents marry, live together. Naturally, the child's consciousness has returned to live nearby, wandering around, playing happily, loving their future parents. But even when the parents are intimate, rebirth hasn't happened yet. The father's sperm enters the mother's ovum, the egg. That's still not rebirth. Until a few hours later, when the father's sperm combines with the ovum and truly transforms into an independent embryo with life, at that moment, our previous consciousness dissolves, disappears, and our life is that embryo. The previous consciousness vanishes. And at that moment, we forget all past events. We begin a new life as a tiny embryo, invisible to the naked eye, needing magnification thousands of times to see that germinal spot. And we are precisely that tiny germinal spot. The large consciousness from before dissolves instantly. We forget all past stories. The reason we forget previous lives is not due to some magical potion, but because that initial embryo is too small, lacks a developed brain, so it cannot contain or record the complex data and memories from the previous life. Therefore, previous life data is erased. We forget everything. We just grow according to cause and effect. Grow according to cause and effect. Meaning, cause and effect dictate we grow into a handsome person, an intelligent person, a healthy person. The embryo just grows and grows according to that. When the child is born, the parents are surprised. Oh, my child is so handsome. Grows a few more years, months. They discover, my child is so intelligent. Grows up a bit more. Unexpectedly, a strapping, healthy youth. That's all due to cause and effect dictating, controlling the development of the embryo, the life of the newborn baby like that. And as we grow up in a new life, there are two things. First, we receive the old karmic results from the previous life, and second, we continue to sow karma for the next life. That's our life. We are present here now, receiving the results of the previous life and continuing to create causes for the next life. And just like that, we wander endlessly in infinite samsara, the cycle of birth and death, being reborn from life to life like that. From a close, familiar perspective, what do we dream of? We dream, oh, maybe in the previous life we forgot to create merit, so in this life, we don't enjoy much blessing. In this life, I didn't become prime minister. So, our near-term dream is, well, in this life, I'll create merit so in the next life, I can enjoy more blessings. That's a very short-sighted view. But when we understand deeply, we see people just keep wandering in samsara like this. So, even if in this life or that life we are rich and glorious, we still feel, be careful, it's still exhausting, arduous. Even being a king, if you have to keep reincarnating, you still feel tired, arduous. At that point, what do we truly dream of? Truly? Then, we will have a very legitimate, very meaningful dream. What is it? To stop this cycle of reincarnation. True liberation, no more reincarnation. Tired. Even being born as a lord or general is still tiring. Still struggle, still hardship, still calculation, and easy to create negative karma. Being a lord or general, our power affects many people. Just a moment of anger can create terrifying karma. Just passing one wrong law makes countless people suffer. So it's also arduous, no pleasure in it. Therefore, finally, better one day, stop this samsara, no more rebirth. And in that state of liberation, protect sentient beings so they know good deeds, avoid evil deeds so they create blessings and progress in samsara, and finally, they too end samsara. That is the highest, most beautiful dream. Does everyone agree with me? Agree? Agree. Surely that's the most beautiful dream. The near dream, as we said, we just pray for blessings in the next life, so this life try to do good. But when we understand deeply, deeply, we say, well, creating merit is right, must be done, because living in this world, one must create merit, no other way. But what merit? Merit of being a lord, a general? It's all tiring, arduous, and one slip creates bad karma immediately. Better to stop. And this is precisely the goal of Buddhism. The goal of Buddhism is that we seek the path of practice to stop reincarnation and achieve true liberation. Meaning no karma pushes us into reincarnation anymore. No karma is strong enough to compel us to be reborn. We have the strength of our practice somehow, so we are not reborn. In that state, we are a transcendent saint. We protect sentient beings so they can continue practicing like us. So, the place where there is no more reincarnation, the place of absolute liberation and peace. Buddhism calls it Nirvana. Nirvana. Called Nirvana. So, Nirvana is a state extremely pure, transcendent, indescribable in words. But it is a clarity pervading the entire universe. It is a heart of loving kindness permeating all beings. Don't think Nirvana is something empty. Don't think that that's misunderstanding Buddhism, that's wrong view, incurring bad karma. We must understand the Nirvana attained by Buddhas, attained by Arhat saints, is not emptiness, but a clarity pervading this entire universe. And it is the heart of loving kindness, great compassion, pervading all beings. That's why whenever we have urgent matters, feel stuck, we kneel before the Buddha and pray, always efficacious. That's why. Because the Buddha in Nirvana still loves, still blesses us. He doesn't reincarnate, but he always loves, always knows clearly, and always blesses us. Like that. But only on the condition that after we pray and achieve something, we must offer thanks. Offer thanks, how? Who knows the right way? Is it bringing a tray of offerings to offer the Buddha? Is that right? Buddha doesn't accept bribes. How do we offer thanks to the Buddha? For example, the house we live in, suddenly the urban planning cuts right through it. The house must be moved. Moving the house like that, the compensation money from the planning isn't enough to move, and we can't argue with anyone. At that moment we are stuck, don't know what to do. Go to the temple and pray. Because our merit is weak. Weak merit naturally causes us to face pressure, like the compensation money is insufficient. Desperate, we go, prostrate before the Buddha, pray. We say, I also comply with state law, follow the state planning. I accept moving the house for the state to plan the area beautifully for the people, for the country. But the compensation is too little. I don't have enough to rebuild a house, a home for my family to live, worship, practice. Buddha, please help me. We pray earnestly. Go home. Suddenly, a higher-ranking official comes wandering by. Suddenly, that day, he stops his car there, asks around. After hearing our lament, he turns and asks, Huh? Why is the compensation so strange? They say, It's the regulated price. He says, No. Regulation, but if people don't have enough, what's the point? Must recalculate the compensation price. Compensate the people adequately. Cannot be like this. Suddenly, we escape that plight. We receive adequate compensation, can build a house. So we achieved our prayer's request. After that, must offer thanks. How to offer thanks. Remember Dong Dac Pagoda. Bring a tray of offerings to the temple as thanks? No, not right. Buddha doesn't eat our offerings. Buddha in Nirvana doesn't eat offerings, right? How to offer thanks. Do some meritorious deed. Do some significant meritorious deed. Meaning, when building the house, using money to build it, while the state constructs that road, we will donate 20 days of labor for the road, so later people can travel back and forth. We will donate 20 days of labor. Or, for the workers building the road, every morning, maybe around 9 to 10 a.m., we bring out a pot of sticky rice to treat the workers so they have strength to build the road. That is also offering thanks to the Buddha. Meaning, do something for public benefit to compensate for what we asked for. Remember that. So that is cause and effect. That is reasonable. And through that, we understand what the pure nirvana of the Buddha is. So profound. The principle of reincarnation gives us the answer. Why are the fates of many children so strangely different from birth? Right? Why is one child born healthy, another sickly? One born into a rich family, another into a poor one? Why such injustice? Without reincarnation and cause and effect, there is never a satisfactory answer. Never a satisfactory answer. Some say it's due to God or heaven Ong Troy. God, meaning who decides rich or poor is God's decree. Say, no, God is so unfairly strange, right? If it's a God with power who loves people, he must be fair. If he loves, he must love all equally. Cannot make this child be born poor, that child born rich. Then some say, no, born into a poor family is for training. Why train this child and not train that other child? The other child must endure, right? So, there is no answer. No cause that some external God dictates this child must be born thus, that child born thus. Only the law of fair cause and effect. It is precisely the law of cause and effect that led that child to be born into this family. Precisely the law of cause and effect led that child to be born into that family. And only the law of cause and effect is fair. Therefore, we don't assign responsibility to any deity for our fate. We assign responsibility to each individual human based on their past karma. When a child happens to be born into a poor family, we understand the child lacks some merit, or initially lacks merit from past lives. And we show compassion by teaching them to do good deeds from childhood. Meaning, from childhood, know how to love others, help others, live truthfully, not greedily. Then, as they grow up, their life will change towards a better direction. For example, maybe they study poorly now, but if they know how to do good, respect the Sangha, are diligent in prostrating to Buddha, help friends, then naturally, after a few years, they become better students. That's cause and effect. Therefore, when we know the law of cause and effect, we can help our children and grandchildren a lot, shifting their lives from a seemingly bad direction to another, potentially much better, very concretely. And this is something everyone is happy about. Another thing, the law of cause and effect helps us eliminate superstition.
No superstition.
What is superstition? Superstition means believing in a wrong cause. We want a result, but we believe in a wrong cause. For example, everyone wants to be rich. But according to the law of cause and effect, if you want to be rich, you must help others first, practice generosity. You must spend 5-10 years, always diligently doing meritorious deeds. Paving roads, giving alms to the poor, creating jobs for this person and that person. Enduring hardship like that throughout life, then later, naturally become rich. That is the right cause, understanding cause and effect. What about superstition? Superstition, some say, if this year you want business to prosper, at the beginning of the year, if a pig comes and poops a pile in front of your house, that year you will surely prosper. So, at the beginning of the year on New Year's Eve, drag a pig over, don't let it excrete, tie it up, block it somehow until exactly New Year's morning, put it in front of the door for it to excrete. Then start believing, so this year I will prosper. That is called superstition. Superstition means believing in a cause, a wrong cause. Or some believe that if you go out the gate and meet a woman first, what happens? Go back inside. the endeavor will fail, right? No, not right. That is superstition. Or some believe that if you persistently beg deities, you will become very rich. No, that won't happen. Deities see your sincerity, your virtue. They might help you through a certain crisis, but you must offer thanks by doing good deeds in return. No deity just grants everything you dream of just because you beg. Never happens. Because deities are fair and operate within cause and effect too. Like that. Or in India, they have this belief. When someone dies, throw their corpse into the Ganges River, and they will attain liberation, right? Never right. Because liberation requires very high, very arduous practice. Throwing a corpse into the Ganges, what happens? Causes cholera, stench, environmental pollution, right? Those are superstitions. Therefore, believing in cause and effect, understanding cause and effect, helps us avoid superstition and makes our lives more proper. A few points here. To be intelligent, wise, this is cause and effect. See someone intelligent, wise, praise them, rejoice. Or see someone studying, help them study better. Help with notebooks, pens, help pay tuition fees. Or, if in a previous life we had abilities, use those abilities to help the world unstintingly. Those three causes. In the next life, we will always be talented, intelligent, wise. So, to have a good brain, it's not about eating brains, referencing a folk belief, but to have a good brain is precisely loving people, helping others become clear-minded, wise, propagating the principles of cause and effect to everyone. Naturally, our brain will become stronger. Believe it, because that is the only true, legitimate path. Stray slightly, we fall into superstition immediately. Or consider this belief. At the beginning of the year, go to the temple, pick a young bud, lock, from a tree, and during the year, you will receive fortune and wealth, lock. This is also a type of superstition arising from linguistic confusion. The Vietnamese word lock can mean a fresh bud or shoot, but it's also a homophone for the word lock, meaning fortune or wealth. These are different words with different written characters, but they sound the same. Hearing the same sound, people mistakenly think picking a bud brings wealth. So, at the beginning of the year, they go to the temple and pluck buds and branches off the temple trees, harming the trees and distressing the monks. That's superstition and incurs bad karma. Later, try planting trees, they might not grow well. Now let's ask a few questions. Why do we see some virtuous people suffering hardships, while some fierce people are wealthy and prosperous? Does this happen? Yes, right? We answer like this. There are many types of virtuousness. Don't assume everyone who seems gentle is good. Some are gentle but passive, indifferent. They harm no one but never help anyone either. That person being poor is appropriate for their lack of positive action. Gentle, for example, even if cursed viciously to their face, they don't reply, don't get angry. That person is truly gentle in demeanor. But seeing the neighbor writhing, about to die, they just stand and watch, don't help. That person, being gentle like that, deserves hardship due to their inaction. So, gentle but must be good, must actively help people. So, why is that gentle person suffering? Because they are gentle in that passive way. Gentle but sees suffering and doesn't help. Too passive, indifferent. So, being gentle and suffering hardship can be an appropriate result. That's one case. Gentle but passive. That person rightly might be poor. Then there's the gentle person who encounters someone in distress and turns a blind eye. The retribution for this is even more terrifying. For example, crossing a river. This person is very gentle, smiles at whatever anyone says, never gets angry. Suddenly, a child falls into the river, shouts for help. They stand and watch. Stand, watch, look around, see no one to help. They do nothing. Stand there. Don't even shout help. Stand there silently. The child drowns. Then what? That person is gentle, but in the next life, has eyes but is like blind. Has a mouth but is mute, cannot speak. Because they saw but did nothing to help. Had a mouth but didn't know how to shout for others to come help. Encountering someone in danger, hardship, and doing nothing to help. Being gentle like that leads to extreme hardship in the next life. although gentle in demeanor, extremely miserable results. So don't think being gentle is always good. Gentle like that, better not be gentle. Then there are gentle people, for example, in a previous life they practiced, but in a life before that, they created bad karma. Example, there was this guy, previously a robber. In the early part of his life, strong in his 20s to 30s, joined a robber gang, specialized in breaking doors, holding knives to people, taking things, sowed immense negative karma. Then, at 35, awakened, understood the way, repented, threw down his sword, entered a temple to practice. Entered the temple, practiced, tormented himself, did the hardest work, chopping firewood, cooking rice, carrying basin after basin of earth to fill potholes on the road, meaning endured extreme hardship, self-punishment as part of his repentance. So, in the next life, that person returns as a gentle person. See? Thanks to the period from 35 to 60 knowing how to practice in the temple, they return with a gentle disposition. But when meeting people, what happens? People bully them, beat them, hit them, to repay the negative karma generated from the early part of the previous life as a robber. This is the case of being gentle now, but because of the previous fierce period. So now, though gentle, must first experience the results of the past negative karma. Then the blessings from the later practice come afterwards. So why is that gentle person suffering? Because of three potential cases. 1. Gentle but too indifferent, passive. 2. Gentle but sees distress and doesn't help. 3. Gentle now, but had a fierce period before, and is repaying that past karma. And another case of a gentle person suffering terrible retribution, because their gentleness indirectly caused harm to others. For example, consider Mahatma Gandhi. Previously, a Buddhist asked me this question. Teacher, my child asked this. Buddhism says, what caused that effect? Why Mahatma Gandhi of India, who advocated nonviolence to gain independence for India by enduring beatings without fighting back, why was he ultimately shot dead? Nonviolent, yet received the result of being killed by violence. Where is the cause and effect? And indeed, this question is difficult to answer. From one perspective of analyzing karma, I replied like this. It could be argued that Mahatma Gandhi's specific strategy of nonviolence, in certain situations, indirectly led to harm for many Indians. His policy was like this. One time, the British forbade Indians from making salt. Only the British had the monopoly to make and sell salt at high prices. Gandhi called on Indians to go down to the seashore and make their own salt. British soldiers blocked them, prevented them from going down. Anyone who went down, they beat with clubs. But the Indians, obeying Gandhi, did not react. Non-violence. They hit them on the head. Thump. Fell down immediately. The next person stepped forward. The next person didn't resist. The next person didn't even bother resisting. The next person stepped forward. They hit them with the club, thump, fell down again. And just like that, they beat for a while, then got scared seeing so many people fallen, afraid to beat anymore. The people behind them, the people didn't defend themselves. So, from this viewpoint, the nonviolent strategy of Mahatma Gandhi, while noble in intent, resulted in many Indians being tortured, beaten, and killed. Therefore, Gandhi might also have had to bear the karmic consequence, ultimately being shot dead. So, cause and effect can be seen as fair. It's just that we often don't see the whole complex picture. But cause and effect is always operating fairly. Now, why are fierce people wealthy and prosperous? Why? Because, although this person seems fierce now, perhaps previously, their fierceness contained enthusiasm and helpfulness. Enthusiasm, meaning seeing anyone in the village suffering, that person was the first to step up, gather some bamboo from one person, some bricks from another to build a house for them. Although fierce in manner, fierce but enthusiastic in helping. So now, the fierceness remains as a characteristic, but they must also experience the result of past generosity, which is wealth. When they repay the karma for fierceness itself is another matter. It's the opposite of the gentle person who does nothing. This person is fierce but always jumps in to help others. Often bosses people around, but has enthusiasm for good deeds. Therefore, fierce but rich. Or some are fierce but have a chivalrous streak. That guy looks rough, beard messy, but if anyone in the village gets bullied, he's the first one out with a stick to protect them. Protects the villagers first. Hearing about thieves or robbers invading or causing trouble in the village, that guy is the first one with a stick at the village entrance, guarding the village first. Is that person gentle or fierce? Fierce, but has merit, right? Precisely because fierce but has merit, protecting the village so people can work peacefully. So later, that person is fierce but rich. Clearly like that. So we see police officers too. If a police officer is upright, are there gentle police officers? Few. Police usually look stern, fierce, but they have merit, protecting peace for the people. So usually an upright police officer at the end of their life may also be wealthy. Not due to bribery, also wealthy due to the merit of their service. Next life also wealthy, fierce but rich. The reason is that, or the fierce person due to a previous life, helped people but was arrogant. Helped people but looked down on them. So, in the next life, initially also rich due to the help given, but later will become poor as a result of the arrogance. Because of the arrogance, helping people but looking down on them, later the retribution comes. They will be rich but fierce, then finally afterwards poor. Now, a few more points on cause and effect. Whatever we look down on, that thing will disappear from our lives. For example, we have friends but despise them. Later, we will be lonely. No one will befriend us anymore. We dislike children. Later, we won't have children. Remember that. Once, a woman came and asked, "Teacher, I've been married many years, no children. What should I do?" I replied, "Listen to our ancestors saying, love children, children come to the house. Respect the elderly grant longevity." As long as you learn to love children, not just your own, but love all children, then naturally you may conceive. She said, "I don't really love children much. Even my own nieces/nephews. I hold them a bit, then put them down, don't feel affection." That's wrong. Now, if you want children, you must do great meritorious deeds for children everywhere. Meaning, in your village, any house with children, go visit, gift them a set of clothes, gift them a can of milk. Meaning, express your love for children towards many children, then you may have children. Believe it. That's cause and effect. Just because you don't love children, children don't come to your house. No consciousness is drawn to reincarnate into your house as your child. Remember that. Or, if we don't respect the elderly, we tend to have a shorter lifespan or face difficulties in old age. So, meet elderly people, must respect them, be considerate, yield. Remember that. Why? Because elderly people have lived through a life of ups and downs, hardships. Now, at that age, it's time to enjoy peace. So, all of us have a duty to love the elderly. That's the morality of Vietnamese life and of Buddhism. Always like that. So, out on the street, if you meet an old person, even if that old person is difficult or nagging, always, we must still yield. Be obedient. Say yes, sir/madam. Remember, always love them. Because the elderly sometimes change temperament, become cranky, but because we love the elderly, we love morality. We still must yield completely. Even if our own grandparents are difficult, still yield, still obey. Remember that. A child unfilial to parents, what happens in the next life? Next life, no father, no mother, meaning orphaned. Remember that. So, some are orphans because in a previous life they were lacking in respect or care towards their parents. Remember that. Then, the person who doesn't love humanity, what happens in the next life? Living among humans like this but doesn't love humanity, doesn't love fellow humans, what happens next life? Not allowed to live with humans anymore. Meaning, live with whom? Live with animals. Right? A person who doesn't know how to love humans, next life is condemned to be reborn as an animal. Remember that. Therefore, we are present together in this life. Let's love each other. Love humans. Love humans. Then in the next life we can be human again. Remember that. The person who often cuts down forests, doesn't cherish life, destroys ecosystems. What happens next life? Next life has difficulty sustaining life or is reborn in harsh environments. Cannot be easily reborn into fortunate circumstances again. Remember that. But the person who loves forests, loves every green tree, loves every green sprout, protects forests and life, that person, upon death, is very easily reborn into a place of happiness. Now let's talk about money. The person who has money but is wasteful, later will have no more money. For example, that money could have supported many people, but they spend it on one drinking party costing several million dong. Or gamble it all away, losing tens of millions. Or lavishly gift it to wrong recipients or for harmful purposes. Some rich people don't know what to do, invite a beautiful girl to dine with them, and tip her 1 million dong just for eating together. Giving wastefully or to the wrong recipient, that person later will have no money. How no money? Perhaps they end up losing their fortune or even end up in prison, then have no money. So, wastefulness leads to no money. Second, being miserly, not giving alms, also leads to no money. For example, in your house you hide 100 million. See poor people, refuse to help. Later, that 100 million will be lost too. Because the miserly person will also lose all their money. The wasteful person will lose all money. The miserly person will also lose all money. Only the person who uses money accurately, is both thrifty and generous, spends reasonably on themselves, helps those who deserve help, only that person's money gradually increases continuously. Meaning, starts with little, later has more, gradually. First maybe 10 million stored away, but when needed, spend 2 to 3 million, spend 5 to 7 million correctly. But later, it recovers to 20 million. And within that 20 million, they spend very correctly. Spend where needed, accurately, both thriftily and helping those needing help. It diminishes through use, but later increases exponentially to 50 million. Meaning, money used correctly grows day by day. But used wrongly, either wastefully or miserly, gradually the money disappears. Now let's talk about the cause and effect of beauty. Beauty is very important. A beautiful face is very necessary in this life, also a source of pride, our blessing. But the mind within is the cause, and the appearance outside is the result. Beautiful mind, beautiful face. Remember cause and effect like that. Look in the mirror. Look at your face to know your mind. If that day you look in the mirror and see your face is beautiful, know that recently your mind has been beautiful. But if you look in the mirror and see your face looks unpleasant or harsh, know your mind has likely been unpleasant or harsh, perhaps narrow-minded. Therefore, to have beautiful features, cultivate the inner mind to be beautiful. Don't waste money on cosmetic surgery. Use that money for good deeds. The face will become beautiful, enduringly beautiful. If we want beauty but only care for the outside, later we will wither even more. So, every time we are moved by a heart of compassion for someone, each time our face becomes a little more beautiful. Every time we are angry or resentful towards someone, our face becomes a little uglier. Just like that, know how to adjust beauty. Every time we prostrate to the Buddha with respect, our face becomes a little more beautiful. Every time we look down on someone, our face becomes a little uglier. Every time we are arrogant, think we are superior, our face becomes a little uglier. Every time we humble ourselves, are modest, respect others, our face becomes a little more beautiful. Those are the most wonderful aesthetic methods. So, there is no aesthetic method more beautiful than these. Love people, respect people, prostrate to Buddha, help people. That is the most wonderful aesthetic. No cosmetic surgeon equals that method. Okay. The law of cause and effect is extremely profound. No one has the capacity to fully understand the path of the law of cause and effect, except the Buddha. As for us, we practice, and as we practice, we understand more. Practice more, become a little clearer. No one dares to beat their chest and say, I understand everything about cause and effect. And the cause and effect in each realm is very complex and different. For example, we are in the human realm. The cause and effect of the human realm is different. The person reborn in the heavenly realm, the cause and effect of the heavenly realm is mysterious, strange, different still. Then a bodhisattva, when going to guide sentient beings, has even more secret causes and effects related to skillful means that we also cannot fathom. It's not that bodhisattvas use magic. Don't think a bodhisattva wanting to guide beings just performs magic, appears floating in mid-air, sits there preaching. No. To make everyone come listen, one must also sow some cause, the right effect, then people will come listen to the preaching. It's not just by displaying psychic powers that people come listen. That also has cause and effect related to affinity and past connections. And we dream of this, the day when schools all over the world bring the subject of cause and effect studies, or ethics based on cause and effect, to teach students, making it the foundation of morality. That day the world will be a paradise of happiness. Because everyone will love each other, everyone will restrain themselves, avoid causing suffering, and only wish to bring joy to each other. For now, that dream perhaps hasn't been achieved. So we dream a little smaller, that all our Buddhists, closest being the dear Buddhists of Dong Dac Pagoda, from today onwards, remind ourselves of the belief and understanding of the law of cause and effect. We teach our children and grandchildren about the law of cause and effect. And thus, we will build paradise in our hearts, in our families, in our villages, and here at this Dong Dac ancestral temple. Today we talked about some rules of cause and effect, so from now on, we know how to steer our lives towards where we want to go. We want to be beautiful, then love people, be gentle in mind. Want to be rich, use money accurately and generously. Want karmic results to multiply many times, then give alms, help people with all your heart. We will steer, guide our lives towards our desired destination. And not just ourselves. We will bring this principle of cause and effect, this faith in the Buddha Dharma, transmit it to many others. First, help our children, grandchildren, family, then village neighbors, friends, relatives. Everyone believes in cause and effect. Everyone believes in the Buddha Dharma. This life will become a beautiful paradise. And before concluding, I respectfully wish the venerable monks, nuns, and Buddhists good health, much luck and prosperity in life, progress in the Dharma heart, performance of many meritorious deeds. May we join hands together to build a warm, happy society, a flourishing Buddhist Dharma.
Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.